By now, you already know me, but again, my name is Luciano Gasparin Paladino. I am a consultant on the productivity, trade, and innovation sector at the Inter-American Development Bank. It is my pleasure to welcome you to this last day of the SME Export Week, our free training series on international trade for global businesses. And this program has been organized by the IDB, Connect Americas, and the International Chamber of Commerce. And throughout this week, each session touch upon different key topics for global companies that are looking to embark or expand into international markets. So for those who are not yet familiar with Connect Americas, Connect Americas is a B2B business platform launched in 2014 by the IDB in partnership with Google, MasterCard, Sealand, Meta, and DHL. And today we have over 750,000 users on our platform. So if you are not yet part of Connect Americas, we invite you to join for free at connectamericas.com. If you have any questions about Connect Americas, about the SME Export Week, we will talk about how to get the certificate of participation by the end of today's session. So any questions that you have or comments or feedback about this SME Export Week, feel free to stay connected with me. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn using the QR code displayed on the screen or write an email there on that email address. So as we go through today's session, I would like to encourage you to share all your favorite moments, key insight, memorable quotes on social media. Your takeaways can help inspire others and keep the conversation going even beyond this event. So don't forget to tag Connect Americas, use the hashtag SME Export Week. If you have or you like something special that the speakers of today mentioned, also don't forget to tag the speakers to keep the ball rolling. And we will soon begin today's session. First, I would like to explain, as always, the format for those who are joining just for this session and don't know the dynamics. We will begin with the presentation by our speakers, and each session will be followed by a Q&A session at the end of each part. If you have any questions, please submit them using the Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom window so we can address them later. We will have two sessions today, so at the end of each session, we will have the Q&A, particularly for that presentation. And remember that all the participants who attend at least 80% of the SME Export Week sessions are eligible to request the certificate of participation, and we will explain how at the end of today's session. So stay tuned to the very end. So now let's get started with today's session. So during the first presentation, we will learn how to leverage ITC market analysis tool and the Global Trade Helpdesk for market expansion. It will be Sam Mondu Imon who will be leading this session. She worked at the capacity building lead team with the trade and market intelligence section of the ITC. Sam manages over 70 capacity building activities annually and is responsible for growing portfolio of trade market intelligence, high impact training programs. Her years in the private sector and ability in transforming complex concepts into a practical and graspable explanation make her an especially compelling speaker on ITC trade intelligence tools and methodologies. Thank you, Sam, for being here with us today. And right after the first presentation, we will learn how to navigate sustainability standards with the standards map, a tool developed also by the International Trade Center. And in this case, it will be Sandra Light Cabrera who will be leading this topic. Sandra has over 15 years of experience in international trade and sustainable development and currently works as an advisor in sustainability standards and value chain for the Trade for Sustainable Development program at the ITC in Geneva, Switzerland. Her work centers on voluntary corporate sustainability standards and how these impact the production and certification strategies of companies and smallholders in developing countries. So Sandra, thank you so much for being here with us today. It has been a very much awaited session. As I mentioned before, some of the other speakers of previous days always refer to ITC tools. So wrapping up this program with this special session, it's really important to all of us. So it's a real pleasure and honor to have you both here with us today. And now, Sam, the floor is yours. You are muted, Sam. We cannot hear you.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Sam, and today I'll be walking you through ITC's market analysis tools and Global Trade Helpdesk. Can't believe it's 2025, and I still forget to unmute myself. So that's really embarrassing, but let's get started. I have exactly around 80 minutes with you. My presentation will break down into different components. I will walk you through actually it's 4 different tools in total. So 3 ITC's market analysis tool, trade map, market access map, export potential map, and then global trade help desk. But during these 80 minutes, I will also answer your questions. So please feel free to submit your questions through the chat box, and Amanda will channel them to me later on at the end of the session. So let's go through this. Just a little bit about International Trade Center. The takeaway from this slide is the fact that ITC has been around for 61 years in total. And from the very, very beginning, providing trade and market intelligence has been our core services. Back in the years where national authorities would fax us trade statistics, for example, to these days and age where they simply transfer the trade statistics to us, and then we process it and upload it online and make it available for everyone around the world free of charge. So just to showcase that, over the last 61 years, we have expertise in collecting, treating, and also disseminating trade statistics and other trade-related information as well. Then this is a little bit about where I work. I work specifically in the trade and market intelligence section of ITC. You will see that at the core of our business is the ITC's market analysis tools. And based on the facts that we have so much data available, we also provide other services such as integrated solutions. We have the Continental Portal for Africa, for example. This is the African Trade Observatory. We also have regional portals such as the Euro-Mediterranean portal. So we are able to do that because the fact that we have so much data, and we also offer other in-depth analysis, the value chain diagnostics, etc. So we do really have expertise in this area. And we also collaborate with other entities around the world. I will be able to show you this later. So today, the first 3 tools that we focus on is the ITC flagship tools. They are co-funded by the European Union. And the first one would be Trade Map, where we focus on the global trade flows. Then Market Access Map on market access condition. The regulatory requirements. These are legally binding market access conditions that exporters, importers have to meet before trade can take place. Then the third one is the export potential map, where we look at the estimates of the potential in 5 years' time, which is right now by 2029. So the complete suite, you have the URL down there. We'll also talk about the Global Trade Helpdesk. The Global Trade Helpdesk, you will see that it pulls the data that are available in market analysis tools, but also complemented with other data that we receive from our partners. For example, Connect Americas is also one of our partners. We also have partners with freight forwarders, etc. We'll be able to see that later on. So the outline of the activities today, you see that I'm not here alone. I'm here with 2 more colleagues. Sandra will take over and discuss about a standards map, whereas Amanda will be monitoring the Q&A box. We will talk a little bit the underlying concept, because I feel that everybody should be on the same page before we go forward and look at the data through the live demonstration. Okay, and the objectives is really to increase your knowledge on the international trade and the distinct roles of each ITC market analysis tools. Now, the first one, Trade Map. A Trade Map has been around since 2001, and we do have the data from 2001 onward. You can see the data by monthly, quarterly, or annually. And we also work with national authorities to secure the monthly trade statistics. whereas the annual trade statistic come from UN Comtrade, because at the end of each year, each country will submit their trade statistics to UN Comtrade, and we take our annual trade statistic from there. Trade Map is currently going through some revamp, so you will be able to see the new version by the end of this year. I'm talking about December 2025, of course. And by 2026, you will have a new look and feel to Trade Map with also more data. But just so you know, it's been around for more than 25 years. And Trade Map is one of the most powerful and most well-known product that we have. So for Trade Map, you'll be able to see the level of the demand. You will see which market is the fastest growing market, how dynamic is this market, who are the main importing, exporting countries, what are the level of competitions, and I will demonstrate to you that you can actually identify potential company that you can work with in exporting your product. Of course, through this, the entire theme is for you to be able to use Trade Map to select an attractive market for your product. We'll go through the different selection, different criteria. We'll look at the trade indicators together. So in terms of coverage, Trade Map covers all countries, but it also covers custom territories. And what I mean by custom territories is, for example, when you go in Trade Map, you will be able to see China. So China mainland, this is one thing for sure. Then you are going to see Hong Kong, China. You will also be able to see Hong Kong, Macau, for example, because these are different custom territories. So that's why it covers 220 countries and territories, okay? And the data that we have is basically, there are two categories. So reported data, so we receive it directly from the country, and there will be some countries that we don't receive trade statistics, and we will use what's called the mere statistics. I will explain to you later, but one of the questions that people often ask is, why wouldn't a country submit trade statistics? So it can be very costly for the country. So maybe they're a little bit slower in producing the trade statistics. So for example, we might be receiving the trade statistic from a country that is from 2022, for example. So some country might be slower. So we complement it with mere statistic. And some countries, they simply have not managed to produce trade statistics. So we are just gonna do mere statistics. We'll be able to look at that later. But just so you know, the Trade Map actually covers most of the countries and territories. And when we use mere statistics, it's better than nothing. So I will discuss about this later, because some data is still better than nothing. And what do I mean by that? Of course. And product coverage, we cover all the products in the harmonized system, over 5,300 products at 6-digit level, and also products at national tariff line up to 10,000 products, of course. And data sources, we have national authorities and also UN Comtrade, as I have mentioned before. I have used Colombia as an example. So basically, we work with the national authority directly, and they provide us the trade statistics. My apology for really kind of squished voice, but I'm not doing so well with the spring coming in Europe. So, but that does not stop. That would not reduce the quality of what I'm trying to present to you. So what you see right here is the data update. So you have the update that takes place all year round. So basically, for example, we talk about Colombia. We work with the national authority, and as soon as they submit the trade statistics, we're able to treat it and upload it to Trade Map. So it's updated all year round. And there's also trade indicators, as you will see in Trade Map. This is updated 4 times a year. And the first one will take place in April, which is this next month. In April or May, it will take place, because we have to wait for the data to be reported by at least, I think, 96% of the global trade to be able to produce and calculate the trade indicators, of course. So if you go on Trade Map today, you will already see the January 2025 trade statistics. You just have to switch to monthly trade statistics, and you'll be able to see that even though the trade indicators is still written 2023. So we'll have a look at all of this later. This will all make sense. I just want to level the playing field, make sure that everybody understand exactly the same thing. And we talk about the data type, or we talk about direct data and mirror data. So direct data, this is the data that's submitted by the national authority to the UN or to ITC. Then you have the mirror statistic, which is the reconstructed data on the basis of the data reported by its partner country. And you will see this in the table in Trade Map. You will see that there are different colors, etc. And if you have a look at the screen capture I provide right here, at the last line, you see the yellow part. And this is the mirror statistics. And this is currently for the Russian Federation. That we have the mirror statistics because they did not submit it in 2023. Then I have an example of, for example, if you look at the data in Trade Map, you see here Bolivia is a reporting country. So the data that you see in Trade Map will be in dark blue, meaning it's direct data. And if it's in yellow, it means it's a non-reporting country. It's mirror statistics that is constructed based on the data from the reporting country. So for example, you'll be able to see the trade between Bolivia and Curacao in the mirror statistics. Of course, you will see it here. You will be able to see how much Curacao imported from Bolivia or exported to Bolivia based on the Bolivian data. However, if Guatemala, another non-reporting country, have some trade with Curacao, you will not be able to see it. Okay? If you think about it, it's like standing in front of a mirror. So when you are there in front of the mirror, you can see your reflection. But if you're not in front of the mirror, there's no reflection. So it's like that. So that's why it's called mirror statistics. Okay. Just to mention it again, that you should be aware about the colors in Trade Map. You will be able to see that, for example, the red one is the negative balance, the purple one is the aggregated data. We'll go through all of this, but just be wary about it. Okay, so in order to identify an attractive market using Trade Map, first, you have to be able to identify the right harmonized system code for your product. And this is very, very important because if you start your analysis or research with the wrong code, all of a sudden, all your analysis is completely wrong. Then we'll go through the trade indicator to see the demand. We will also go through the competition and distances and other information such as company contact information. First things first, today I will be talking about the ceramic product. And in the harmonized system product classification, you have what's called chapter. And the chapter exists from 01 to 99. So it's basically numerically coded, right? Just so that everybody, which is what I'm talking about, is the custom officers or trade analysts, when they look at the number, they know that they're talking about exactly the same thing. So, for example, I come from Thailand. Okay, the custom officers in Thailand speak Thai. Amanda, she's from Brazil. The custom officers in Brazil speaks Portuguese. Then Sandra, the custom officer from Bolivia, would be speaking Spanish. We all speak different languages, but because we see the number, we can actually tell what the product is about. Okay, so that's why it's numerically coded. So when we talk about 69, chapter 69, for example, we're talking about ceramic product. And then as we go on, we add more number to the chapter. it becomes heading. So what here we call is HS code, HS 4-digit level. So 6908 is for glazed ceramic, etc. And you can read the description. It will become much more precise than just 69 ceramic product. It's very wide, right? That's why it's called chapter. My apology. Then as you add more number to it, it will become more precise. So you arrive at a 6-digit level, which is the subheading. You see that it's now specified to the tableware, ceramic tableware 691200 is ceramic tableware. Whereas if you go back here, 6910 is about ceramic sink, wash basin, wash basin pedestal, bath, bidet. So this is all another ceramic product entirely. So as you can see here, the more digit we have, the more precise it becomes, and we are able to do the analysis at HS 6-digit level. So if we're looking at international demand, this is the most detailed level we could do. So at HS 6-digit level. However, when the tariffs are applied, they are applied at what's called the national tariff line level. So what do we do is that each country manage their own national tariff line level, as the name suggested, national tariff line level. They add additional digits to the 6 digits which are standardized. As you can see here, 691200. This is standardized. You know it's ceramic tableware. But for example, a country like New Zealand, they say that I add 0102, then it becomes 691200, 0102. And this is specifically to coffee mugs and nothing else, not just other tableware items, but coffee mugs. And if I add 0138, this is cooking utensils. So as you can see at the national tariff line, it goes with the same principle. The more digit, the more detail. But at this level, beyond 6-digit level, is actually country specific. So you should only look at this once you have already identified the target market. You can look at the national tariff line. We'll have a look at this later, but I just want to show you how the harmonized system works. And one of the things that it will strike you is the fact that the harmonized system language is not everyday language that we are using, okay? So for example, if you talk about beef, in our everyday language, we call them beef, okay? No problem. But in the harmonized system language, this would be called bovine meat. So just for you to be careful with your language, that sometimes there's subtlety, they're leaning more towards a scientific name, etc. Another thing that could be striking would be, for example, you know, the thing that we sit on, we call it a chair. I'm sitting on a chair, but actually for the harmonized system classification, they call it a seat. Not a chair, it's a seat. So there are these nuances that you would have to explore, and I will show you where you can explore later. So the second tools that I will be talking about is the market access map. And why do we do this is simply because the fact that once you have the product, you cannot just go to the port with your product and say, I want to export. It doesn't work like that. You have to comply to the market requirement, the regulatory requirements of the importing country, and sometimes of the exporting countries as well. So that's why it's very important for you to know what is required from you, because if you only discover it late towards your export journey, it could become very costly, and it's important to plan this in advance, right? So if you have to get your product tested, certified, etc., you need to know that from the very beginning of your business plan, and not towards 2 days before exporting. So this is something that you need to factor into your export journey. Because what ITC is trying to do is, one, democratize the access to the trade statistics and trade data, right? But second is what ITC is trying to do is to reduce your cost in doing market research, because all of this information is free. You can use it as a starting point. You can use it to plan your production, to plan your export. You don't need costly surprise. And no one need this, especially SMEs. Every dollar counts, and we fully understand this. One of the things that I already mentioned, is how important it is to know the regulatory requirement, because it's not enough to have amazing products for the world. Okay, so for example, if I'm an exporter from Eswatini to be exporting hot peppers, the cured hot pepper, pickle hot peppers, I would need to know what kind of requirements I need to comply to. I need to know what is the maximum residue limits that I have to meet in order to export my product, what kind of packaging, what kind of labeling I have to do in order to access a specific market. And if I'm an exporter of furniture, what kind of paint I can use on my product that is not toxic and therefore will be accepted in the target market, or other vegetable products, for example. So all this has to be understood before exporting. And Market Access Map can help you do this. We have the data for all countries and territories around the world. In terms of the instruments that we cover, we will see in the next slides, but it's pretty much everything you need to know that is legally binding, because Sandra will touch upon what is not legally binding, maybe is demanded by the importers, which is the standards, sustainability standards. All this will be touched upon later. What we're talking right now is legally binding regulatory requirements. Okay, and the data source is, of course, collected by ITC or our partner institution. These are the instruments that are covered in Market Access Map. So as you can see, you have the custom tariffs and you have other market access condition. We call this the trade agreement. We all know this trade agreement. I believe that other session you already discussed about the certificate of origins. So these are the other market access requirements. You have trade remedies. You have the non-tariff measures. We'll also touch upon this. All of these are available in Market Access Map. And one of the things that I would like to reiterate is the fact that non-tariff measures, at the beginning of the conception, they were designed to protect human population, animals, and the environment. They're not designed to become barriers to trade. But yes, eventually, because it's extra cost, it's the extra step, extra procedures, they can have economic effect on the trade, of course. And non-tariff measures can occur at home and also abroad. They can be technical and non-technical. So businesses sometimes are constrained by the non-tariff measures. The third tool that we'll be talking about is the export potential map. The export potential map came about because we already have trade statistics from trade map. Then we already have market access data, trade agreement, tariffs from market access map. So what do we do is that we created a tool that is based on economic model and make it forward looking. So when you look at trade map, you see the trade that already took place. You can see the trade from 2001, for example. You can see the trade that took place in January 2025. But at the heart of the matter is that the trade already took place. So what we do is that we put this information that we have into an economic model and do the estimates in 5 years' time. So you will be able to see in 5 years' time, what is my export potential and how much of that remains untapped, meaning minus whatever I am exporting right now, what is the gap, the unrealized export potential? How much more can I realize how much more trade can I realize? So this is what you will see in the export potential map. You will see that in terms of the number of products, there are less than trade map. So trade map, you remember, it covers 5,300 products, but here right now we have 4,000 products. And why is because some products cannot be reproduced. Like antiques, there's no export potential in antiques where the product cannot be produced. In some sectors where it's not a sector that a company can get into is a sector that is managed by the government, etc. So we exclude those products, and also products that are hazardous to health. You will not see, for example, tobacco in the export potential map because this is included in the UN list of hazardous product to health, to human health. So this is removed. So you will see it's much more limited than trade map, but I think for SMEs it's still very much okay, and you will really enjoy export potential map. This is a simplified model of export potential map. As you can see here, I touch upon it that trade flow come from trade map, tariffs, trade agreements, relationship of trade between different countries. They're from market access map, but at the same time, we consider other variables, and these are very legitimate variable like land endowment, sea access. So for example, if the country like Switzerland, which is landlocked, export potential map will probably not propose that they export tuna, for example, because they don't have sea access. So these things needs to be accounted for. Distances, price elasticity, projected GDP and population that we receive from the World Bank. So for example, some people would ask, with the current situation, the instability around the world, if the GDP is revised by the World Bank, the data in export potential map would be refreshed as well. And the fourth tool that we will show you is the Global Trade Helpdesk. I have already explained that it draws on the data from different tools that we have discussed previously, but also with other information such as freight forwarder, local financial institution where you can find trade finance. So this will be touched upon as well. So I hope everybody is still with me on this. This is the product that I will use for the live demonstration today. Going back to ceramic tableware, you see this beautiful, I saw this pictures and I thought they were amazing. Not only is a product that is highly value added, it's something that could be artisanal, done by women, by smaller and remote area population, etc. So it's a very interesting product, according to me. So it's a ceramic tableware, right? And today we're going to take a seat as an exporter of this product from Colombia. So let's move forward. I'm going to go live now. So bear with me, please. Okay. A second. I'm going to go live. The first tool that we'll see is trade map. This is being refreshed right now. I remove everything. So we're looking at a home page. It's a very simple home page. Okay. And if you ever get lost in trade map, I want you to click on home and search and come back and start redoing your search, because you will see that once you start using trade map, it can really get overwhelmed, because as soon as you click, the data change and sometimes people get lost. The best of us get lost. So first things first, what we see right here is a home page. When you do any type of analysis, the first thing you will select is the trade flow direction. As an exporter of Colombian ceramic tableware, I would like to see the global demand for my products. So I will select import side. I want to see who's importing. This is one thing for sure. Then in terms of the product, so if I don't know the product, I type in ceramic the system will automatically filter you and give you the 31st code that contains the words ceramic. And this is a little bit difficult for you to read. So what I would propose is that you use the advanced search yourself. Click on advanced search and then you type in ceramic tableware. It proposed different things, and I highly encourage you to read through all of this very closely, right? Because it sometimes contains the word ceramic, contain the word tableware, but we're looking for the code that contains both words. Here we go. Still here. We kind of have to find the right one, etc. So you can see here, the 69 chapter, we already said that it was about ceramic. And we're gonna try to find the tableware here. Tableware. And how do I know this is tableware that is ceramic? Is because one, in the description, and two, that the fact that it's in the 69 chapter. So this is the code that we're looking for, 691200, tableware, kitchenware, other household articles, and toilets article of ceramic other than porcelain or china. So these are the different types of the materials, right? So not porcelain, not china. We're looking for ceramic, potentially earthenware. This is the type of product that we're looking for. And this is the usefulness of advanced search. I talked to you about this before. You can type in any product and it will give you a code. And it's your job to read the code carefully. So, and because you'll be able to understand why it's important to mind the language of the customs officer. I will type in the word laptop. And as you can see here, none of this code contain the word laptop, but we are talking about laptop. Because in the language of custom officers, laptop is a data processing machine. So that's why it's really important to start, before starting any search, to make sure you're 100% sure that you have the right code, okay? So here, that's another thing. Or if I want to, for example, export, how do you call that, carpet? You would need to read through it carefully because all of these are carpet, but they are different. So for example, this carpet is made from man-made textile, and some of them were made from wool or animal hair, okay? So this is completely different, and how important it is for you to do the exercise and find the right HS code. Okay, now I'm going to go back to the home and search. I'm going to type in the code that we have. We have learned that 691200, tableware, kitchen. Next is the country combo box. If I leave the country combo box blank, this will mean I am going to be looking at every country. So the trade flow direction is import. The product has already been entered, and I would like to see every single market. I would like to see the importers of this product, every single importers, and I will be able to click trade indicators. And the first thing that you do when you look at trade map is that you will read the title of the table. We're looking at the list of importers of the selected product for 2023. This is we confirm is our product, 691200, tableware, kitchenware, etc. Now we're looking at the table here. We always treat it as we're reading books, right? We're going to read it from left to right. And the first column is the HS. So if you click here further, you will get to the HS8 of those countries. So we are not going to be looking at that right now. We see that the first line is the world, and we see the value imported. So this is the total demand of the product. You see the number is written here, 3748,715. But be careful because it's in US thousands. So you have to add 3 more zeros to this. So actually what you see right here is not 3.17 million, but rather 3.17 billion US dollars. This is the total demand for tableware ceramic around the world. Now, why do you think we do the value in trade map is always 1,000. We do this because if we have to add 3 more zeros every time there's a value, the table will be extremely large. So that's why we do it. I'm just giving you a really straightforward answer to this. So be mindful and make sure you add 3 more zero every time you see value. Okay. But when it comes to quantity, the quantity is a net numbers. You don't have to add 3 more zero. So, okay. What we're looking right here, the next line is United States. And because the table is being sorted by value imported, we see that the US is the world's biggest market for tableware ceramic. The total imported value in 2023, it will change to 2024 in April, May. Don't forget about it. 1.1 billion US dollars. So in 2023, USA imported 1.1 billion US dollars worth of tableware from around the world. Second biggest market is Germany, 252 billion US dollars. Okay. Third, France, 189 billion US dollars. They imported the tableware ceramic. Then the next column is the trade balance. As you can see here that the trade balance here is negative. Negative, it only happened when you actually import more than you export. So we call this country with the negative trade balance for the product as a net importer. You will see the difference is in the Netherlands. The Netherlands, which is what has one of the biggest hubs in Europe, their number is positive. Okay, in trade balance, they have 8.5 billion US dollars positive. So this means that Netherlands export more than it imports. And this goes into the role of the Netherlands, which is the hub of Europe, and they export to other EU countries. So that's why the trade balance is positive. Then, of course, you can see the quantity. As you can see here that the US count their tableware ceramic in dozens, okay? Whereas other countries like Germany, they count it in metric ton. France, United Kingdom, Netherlands, even though Canada does not provide quantity at all, most of the country count it in tons, metric tons. But because the unit is different, we cannot aggregate it. So that's why on the top, you see no quantity. It's not because there's no quantity. It's simply because we cannot mix apple with oranges. So we cannot aggregate that data. So that's why it's written no quantity. But you are able to see the quantity when you look at the country's breakdown, of course. Then you have the unit value. The unit value is a very simple math, okay? I don't want you to think that if I go to the port with my Colombian ceramic tableware, I will get 3,619 US dollars per 1 metric ton of the tableware. I don't want you to think that because that's not true. That's absolutely not true. The unit value is the value here divided by the volume here, and you arrive at this number. But what does it do? And that's the beauty of trade map, is that it allows you to compare Germany with France. You can see here that the tableware that Germany imported on average is more expensive than the ones that France imported, and even more expensive than United Kingdom. So you see, sometimes we're able to deduce the trends of the market that they leaning towards more something that rather handmade, for example, which make the value higher per piece. They might lead towards more artisanal product, some pieces that are unique rather than mass produced. That's why that contributes to why the unit value is higher. So at that again, I circle back again. The beauty of trade map is to allow you to be able to compare each country, to benchmark. You can see from here directly. You can see that among everything that we see right here, the only two countries that on average pay more for tableware ceramic is Japan and Korea. So you see already that if you are super high-end Colombian tableware, handmade, artisanal, with a great background story, you are able to command higher price from this market who are accustomed to already paying for special products like this. So you can do all types of deduction from trade map based on the fact that our data is just simply presenting you the data from every countries around the world. So you can do that kind of benchmark. Okay, so I hope everybody's still on the same page as me. And the next column that you see here is the annual growth in value between 2019 to 2023. So this is what we call the annual growth in value over the last 5 years, okay? So 5 years, a lot of things happen. As you can see here, 2019, 2023, COVID happened. Even though some of us already forgot it, but it happened. And so it's a long period of time, 5 years. So that's why we calculate another indicators, which is annual growth in value. They're both in value, but over 1 year, 2022, 2023. So make the time period shorter. And we put them almost side by side to let you compare whether or not over the last 5 years. So for example, you see the US. The growth in value over the last 5 years is 4%. Whereas the growth in value over the last 2 years is negative 27. You can see that there are certain fluctuation in the demand, right? So you can see that 2022, 2023 is not the year in which those top importers demand a lot of tableware ceramic but the world's average is already negative 19%, whereas over the last 5 years, it's positive 6%. So we are able to give you a longer snapshot and a shorter snapshot. And for you to be able to investigate and analyze why is it fluctuating, you can go to look at the time series. You can complement it with the data that you discover somewhere else to be able to explain this phenomenon. But we're telling you facts. You will not find qualitative data in trade map. You will find only quantitative data. And this allows you to think, to see, to question, what am I seeing here, and try to find explanation later. We present you with absolute facts right here that the US over the last 5 years, growth is 4%. It's growing faster than the world, going slower than the world's average. The world's average is 6%. So when we look at this, we see that Germany is growing faster than the world's average. So it's growing at 7, whereas the world average is 6. We can already tell you that Germany is a dynamic market. Over the last 5 years, it has been dynamic. It's even more dynamic than the world's average. And this is also the case with the Netherlands. The growth is 13%, whereas the world's average is 6%. It has grown double the world's average. So it is a dynamic market, right? Another market that is very dynamic, Mexico. Another one, Spain. You see Belgium here, also 10%, 10 higher than 6. Switzerland, 14, even higher than the Netherlands. And the world's average is 6. So it's obviously very dynamic in 5 years' time. So now what we're going to look is in 2 years' time. So the world's average is negative 19. Whereas, let's have a look. We said that the Netherlands was quite dynamic. So it grew over the last 1 year, -16. -16 is actually more valuable than -19. So even though it's not growing as fast as 5 years, it's negative, but it's growing faster than the world's average, right? Whereas in the US, -27 is lower than -19. It's growing slower than the world's average. So what I'm trying to say is that maybe you have to also investigate market is not the number one market, because the biggest market is maybe not the right market for you. If you're an artisanal, tableware maker, handmade, US might not be the market for you. You might want to focus on other market like the Netherlands because it can distribute to other EU country. You might want to focus on market like Japan where the average unit value is higher, or Korea. What I'm saying is that as an SME exporter, when you make the decision, make sure that your decision is based on facts and data, not just not just instinct, not just what your uncle tells you. To base it on facts and make that decision. Every decision that's based on facts, I would say that is already almost the right one. Okay, because yes, if you're a producer of super high-end tableware, yes, Japan would be the right market for you, even though the growth, you see the growth for Japan here is 3%, is growing slower than the world's average of 6. Okay, but over the last 2 years, it's actually growing faster than the world's average. But what you are really interested in is the fact that they can pay for your high-end product, for example. So I'm sure that every exporter have their own logic when they start exporting, but let it be driven by facts. That's all it matters. And let's continue with another trade indicators that is sandwiched between the growth in annual value is the growth in quantity. Okay, growth in quantity. Why is it created? Because there is something that is called the relationship between growth in value and growth in quantity. Because if growth in value, in the ideal world, the growth in value and growth in quantity would grow constantly together like this. They would always be next to each other. But in reality, some will grow faster than the other. Like the US, growth rate in value over the last 5 years, 4. But the growth in quantity is here. So the value is higher, but the quantity is lower. This showed the relationship that on average, over the last 5 years, the ceramic tableware imported in the US, the average unit value has been growing. So you see that dynamism in terms of like what's the trend of the unit value? It's been growing. Okay, so they're not just buying things that is mass produced anymore because the average unit value grows up. Okay, then this cannot be said the same thing with Mexico. Okay, you see 13 here and 26 here. So when the value grow this much, 13, but the volume grow that much, 26. That means the average unit value has been declining. So maybe they're leaning towards more mass-produced tableware. And if you have a factory that can satisfy that, perfect. We are all looking for different clients, okay? But you need to do the analysis to meet your client, meet the right client for you. And this is really important. So next indicators that I would talk about is the average distance. And average distance, what it means is that when you look at this, you see that the market is used to buying within the region in the neighboring countries, or they're used to buying from international market. Okay, you just see the pattern of behavior of your client. That's what you're seeing. So for example, you see here, United States, on average, the ceramic tableware has to travel 10,000 kilometers. So that means they buy from not only from the neighboring countries, but from other country that is far away, potentially China. Why not? But if you look at, for example, you see here, also Mexico, 11,000 kilometers. So I would bet that is also China. So you see who you're competing with and what is the pattern of buying behavior of your clients. Then you see right here, Italy, voila, 4,900 kilometers. So they would be buying somewhere from maybe halfway, maybe like from northern Africa, etc. Just for you to be able to see the pattern of behavior. I'm not saying that if you're located outside this number, if your country is 12,000 kilometers away from Italy and you cannot export to Italy, I am not saying that. I am saying that you know that they are used to what, and if for you to supply to Italian market, you will need to consider the fact that you're a little bit farther away from what they used to. So they need to be like the value proposition. You need to set your product apart. You maybe have to discount your price given that the product has to travel longer in terms of transportation. So you need to consider that. All I'm saying is that TradeMap is providing you the facts for you to consider. And then concentration of supplying countries, whether or not there are only a few key players in the market or not. Unfortunately, I don't have time to go through all the trade indicators, but what we can see here is already the dynamism of the market. I spent a lot of time talking the growth in value and in volume, etc. And I will show you that as an exporter, Colombian exporter of ceramic tableware, I'm very interested in Netherlands because I want it to be an entry point into the European Union. And I see that the Netherlands have had good growth over the last 5 years and also the last 2 years. It grew faster than the world's average. So I'm interested. I click in the Netherlands, I click, and what I will immediately see is the list of supplying markets for the product. So from whom the Netherlands imported these products. You see that China is at the top, followed by the UK, Portugal, Belgium, etc. I'm looking for Colombia. Am I in the list? As an exporter from Colombia, you'll be able to see your level of competition. I'm exporting this. Who am I competing? Obviously, I'm competing with China, who have 35.8% market share in the Netherlands. I'm looking for Colombia. And I see that, unfortunately, I'm not there. I'm here, 18, so 18,000. In 2023, Netherlands imported 18,000 US dollars worth of ceramic tableware from Colombia. I think I could do better, but what I need to do first is to assess the level of competition, right? Who are the main supplying markets and if they are doing well or not. As you can see here, you will see that over the last 5 years, the UK has become an important supplier of the Netherlands ceramic tableware demand, growing at 71%. Instead of the Netherlands average of 30%. Another country that has grown more important is also Japan, Poland, Denmark. So these are the precisely the competitors that I'm looking for. So I've decided I would like to export to the Netherlands. What can I do? Can I find a company in the Netherlands that could work with me on this? Yes, you can. You can click on the company tab at the top. Don't forget, you can click on the company tab at the top. You select the category. I am an exporter of tableware, ceramic. This list, again, is not exhaustive. Is the company that signed up with one of our partner company, which is Compass and Dun & Bradstreet. So if you have a company, you sign up with Dun & Bradstreet or Compass, you might appear on TradeMap. So this is not exhaustive, okay? And once a year, Dun & Bradstreet and Compass will do a check. They will call your company to see that if you're still in business or not. So the check is once a year. And we also update this data once a year. Okay, so now we arrive at the list of companies who declare themselves as a company dealing with importing, exporting, distributing of ceramic tableware. So what you can do is you can click on the country's name. No, not the country, sorry, it's company's name. And you can verify, this is the information that they voluntarily provide to my partner, right? The Compass. So this is the product and service category traded by the company. So they have declared all this product, including here, tableware. So they are importer and distributor. D stands for distributor and I stand for importers. So yes, this is the company that I could look into. But furthermore, you can find here region or countries, partners of the companies, to see whether or not they are used to dealing with companies from Latin America. You see here, they said yes, they do import from South America, especially in Argentina. They do import from Argentina. So as you can see here, this is a lead that a company can get and follow up on it and reach out to the company. And this is free of charge. So if you're located in a developing country, this is 100% free of charge. You just have to sign up for an account and you have access to all of this free of charge. Now I have to move on to another tool that we have. We have discussed market access map. Market access map, like I mentioned, is not enough that you have great product, but you need to also meet the requirements. And this is where what you do. You arrive at the home page, you type in your exporting country. We're from Colombia. And the destination market, we already decided, is Netherlands. I know the code, 691200. 691200, my apology. This is the correct code. I click search. And as you know, the tariffs are applied at a national tariff line. So you need to make sure that you're actually looking at the right national tariff line. You see that the Netherlands have all these codes. That is their national tariff line. But you have to read to make sure that you have the right code. And what my code right here is actually the one ending with 8900. Okay? Here, fine pottery, earthenware, stoneware, common pottery. Okay? No, excluding pure ceramic tableware, household article tableware. This is my code. I read it. I acknowledge that this is my code. I click, and at a glance, I'm able to see that I have MFN tariffs at 7% or preferential tariffs because my country, Colombia, has a preferential market access to the Netherlands. So I have preferential tariff 0%, but I need to meet the origins requirements. I have to download the certificate of origin. I have to get it stamped. I have to bring it to competent authority to be able to profit from 0% tariffs instead of 7% tariffs, which is extended by the Netherlands to all WTO countries. So when I present myself to the Dutch importers, I'll be able to say that if you work with me, you will not have to pay tariffs because I will do the certificate of origin and everything. So 0% tariffs. If you buy from other countries, you might need to pay 7%. So tariffs, even though it's not high, 7%, but it reflects on your competitiveness. So that's what you presented to your partner, for example. Next, there's no trade remedies for this particular product, and we have 2 NTM for this particular product. One is the labeling requirement, and the other one is the restrictive use of certain substances, because this tableware will come into contact with food, right? So it's only normal that the EU put in place a rule that makes sure that the paint that you put on the ceramic or the mixture of the ceramic does not contain, for example, the melamine, which could cause cancer, etc. So it's very important for you to read through this rules and make sure that you comply to it. And again, this is regulatory requirements, is law legally binding. It's not, voluntary standards. Is really what is demanded of you, these two requirements. And of course, in the labeling requirement, you need to declare how do you produce it, right? What is the ingredient that goes into the ceramic, etc.? What's the content? So you need to do this. So of course, now you know the market requirements, not a problem. But I would like to show you another function in Market Access Map that if you ever have doubt, oh, but maybe the Netherlands, but maybe I could do better. You can also find potential market based on the market access indicators using compare. So for example, you'll be comparing market. I would like to see, okay, which country as a Colombian exporter I would have the biggest tariff advantage. Okay, I saw that the Netherlands, I have 7%, but maybe in other country, I could be even more competitive. Why not? I click, and then the data will be presented in a table, but I will show you in map. And as you will see here, for example, the Netherlands, you have 0% tariffs right here. But if you go for Thailand, unfortunately, you will face 30% tariffs. So that is a high tariffs. If you go to Iran, you will have 55% tariffs. Okay. And if you go to Egypt, you will also have 60% tariffs. So these are the market that potentially you're not as competitive because you pay so much. The importers, based on the Incoterms in the contract, will have to pay so much tariffs, etc. But you're definitely competitive in this market where you have 0% tariffs, like the US, Canada, in Latin America, Europe. You're definitely competitive there. So you can see here. And if you would like to see, you would like to also compare competitors to see whether or not you actually have competitive advantage over other suppliers to the Dutch market. You can also do that using compare competitors. Again, type in the code, select the country, click on search. And then I also like to see the data in map again. The bubble represents how much the Netherlands actually imported from those countries. So you will see that they currently don't import so much from Latin America. They mainly import from Spain right here. They mainly import from China or Thailand. This is where the bubbles are big. But as you can see here, for example, Thailand does not face 0% tariffs like Colombia. So if you think about it, if you think about it in terms of tariffs, Colombia is more competitive than Thailand because if the Dutch company buy from Thailand, they would still have to pay 6.3% tariffs, whereas they would have paid 0% tariffs for Colombia. Okay? So this is market access map. Then I'm going to go to the third tool, which is the export potential map. I'm sure you're all very excited about this. So export potential map, first things first, because I know the product number already, you can do that. 691200, ceramic household item. I want to explore in which market so basically I'm not even taking a perspective of a Colombian exporter. I just want to see the ceramic market in general. Okay, and what's good about export potential map is that you have key finding at the bottom so you can read it. And as you can see here, it's the United States, Germany, and France are the world's market with the highest export potential, right? Not a problem. But what about for Colombia? For Colombia, the finding sees that the greatest potential for Colombia for the export of ceramic household are US, Brazil, and Ecuador. So actually, when you look at the export potential map, which also consider market access condition, the trade relations that you have, It actually said that the US, Brazil, and Ecuador are the biggest, the market with the highest export potential for Colombian tableware. We can also analyze export potential here. And what you will see is that the export potential is the mix between trade, okay, the demand, and also the ease of trade. As I mentioned, market access condition. So the US is a market with high potential because it is such a big market. It's the world's biggest market. Now, come next is Brazil, is also a big market with a thicker, if you can see this, but with a thicker line. So the thicker the line, the more ease of trade you have. As you can see here, Ecuador is very thick. Peru is thick, right? So this is called the ease of trade and is ranked according to this. So if you're an exporter of Colombian ceramic tableware, this is what based on the economic model. These are your biggest market, right? I'm gonna go back to gap chart because I want to show you that yes, United States is a big market. Brazil, Ecuador, they are big market for Colombian ceramic tableware. However, the lines are dotted. The lines are dotted, and when it's dotted, it means that, as you can see here, the export potential is 787,000, but you are currently exporting 1.4 billion. So you double your export potential. So our model tell us that, okay, you can export 700,000, but in reality, you're already doing so much better. Okay, this is great. Keep exporting to Brazil, keep exporting to Ecuador. But our model begs the question, are you too focused on this market, the market that have dotted line, that you have gone over the export potential because you're so focused, because you're doing so well, and please keep doing what you're doing, but you're too focused that you are ignoring other potential markets. Are you? Is this the question that we have to ask ourselves? As you can see here, the Netherlands have the export potential of 337,000, but you're currently only exporting 27,000. So that means instead of continue doing what you're doing in the market that you do well, but at the same time, in order to scale up, in order to expand, you need to look into other markets as well. Okay, so that's why that is the beauty of export potential map. It makes you think. Okay, it makes you think about new markets. You can see here. You can see here, United Kingdom also have high potential, but lower current export. Netherlands, Korea as well. So Korea is very, very small, as you can see here. The export potential is 200,000, but the actual export is only $233. So there's so much to explore. If you need to expand, to scale up your business, if you already export to different places, you might want to consider this new market as well. So that's what export potential map does. And now I am going to go through the last part, which is the Global Trade Helpdesk. The Global Trade Helpdesk, as I mentioned, they pull the data, they leverage on the data that we have in trade map, market access map, export potential map, but also other partner institution. Start exploring. It's very easy. We're exporter from Colombia again. From which product? We know it by heart now, 691200. And which market? I was interested in the Netherlands. Okay, I click on go. So it pulls the data from all ITC's market analysis tool. It tells you the total import. This is from Trade Map. Okay, the rank is also from Trade Map. Import share of the Netherlands from Colombia, you remember, it was very, very small. It was like 18,000 in Trade Map in 2023. So it's very small. That's why import share is very small. Import growth, -16. But don't forget, if you remember what we discussed, the world's average was negative 19. So that's why Netherlands, for me, would still be considered a market that is growing faster than the world's average. So that is probably a little bit of a setback for Global Trade Helpdesk because you don't see the full picture. You will need to click on it in order to see the full picture in Trade Map. But if you go from Trade Map to Global Trade Helpdesk, you will already know that even though it's presented here as negative 16, it's actually a market that is doing better than the world's average. And this is the export potential. We just saw it right now. And this is the additional value that you could realize in the Netherlands market by 2029. Okay? But what is interesting here, and you can also find it on Trade Map, the historical data, was that at one point in 2014, there was $1 billion worth of ceramic tableware imports to the Netherlands, but now we're down to 18%. That begs the question, what happened? And probably we need to investigate further. So Global Trade Helpdesk is really a place where you'll be able to see the overview at your fingertips, right? But you need to explore other market analysis tools in details to have the full picture. Because as you can see here, it said the import tariff 0 to 9%. We both know that it's 7% if you don't provide certificate of origin and 0% if you do provide certificate of origin. So you have a full idea because you actually went through other tools before. But as a starting point, I think Global Trade Helpdesk is very, very helpful just to have an idea. And then this is also from market access map. We know the market access condition. There were two of them. There was the food stuff and also the labeling, right? But what I would like to draw your attention to is the notify regulatory changes. So this is the data we pull from the EP alert, which is the WTO ITC tool. And once you go there, it actually tells you when was the last time there has been regulatory changes for this particular product notified by the Dutch or the EU. So the last time that it took place was 2013. So there's nothing to worry because there's nothing that will come into effect in 2025. So, you have an overview of this because of Global Trade Helpdesk, and that's why it's interesting. So had there been a new notification, you would have seen it right now, and you would have to adjust your production accordingly to meet the new requirement. So I think it's a very important part of Global Trade Helpdesk. Now, this will also touch upon what Sandra will present you, which is the niche market, the organic fair trade, and all these standards labeling, labels, etc. Sandra will touch upon that. Then, of course, there's also the digital opportunity aspects. They tell you about what would be the value of the invoice that would not be taxed. It would be tariff free. For the Netherlands, it's 150. So if you're a B2C, you're selling directly to consumers, your consumer order your product that is lower than 150 euros, you can tell your buyers that they will receive their product without paying for tariffs. So this is clear. It also lists different online marketplaces that you can tap into. Next is the online payment solution in the Dutch market. So there's also the e-commerce aspect in Global Trade Helpdesk, which is on top, which is not available in Trade Map, Market Access Map, and Export Potential Map. And as I mentioned before, you also have the list of trade finance provider, business directory. This comes from Trade Map. Here, it will ask you to go to Trade Map. Obviously, we already saw this. And then trade finance provider. Trade finance provider in Colombia, of course. You also have information on freight forwarders. This is from IATA, one source. You can click access, and it provides you the list a freight forwarder. All the different ones that you can choose to work with. Then it's circle back to export potential map, which we already have a look, but I think it's very clear that Global Trade Helpdesk has a selling point that is different from ITC's market analysis tool. ITC market analysis tool seeks to provide you as much information as possible for the subject matter, trade statistics, market access information, export potential map. Then Global Trade Helpdesk provide you the overview and complement it with other relevant information such as e-commerce, freight forwarder, trade finance, incoming regulatory requirements, etc. So use it as you see fit. So I conclude my presentation right here and will open the floor for a question, please.
Sam, first of all, thank you so much for this really very detailed presentation. It was awesome, really interesting. And also there are, apart from the questions that they left, the audience left on the chat, a lot of people saying that they use on a daily basis some of the tools that you use, and probably that they didn't know about some of the features that are there available. So a lot of people is just appreciating all your time and your excellent presentation. And indeed, there are a lot of questions. Most of them were already answered by Amanda. So also thank you, Amanda, for taking care of that. But we have some still some left, some questions left. One of those is from Darley Howard, who is asking if there is historical data available on the trade map, for example, statistics for the last or the past 5 or 10 years.
Yes, indeed, I will be able to show you the data. So for example, like right now, instead of seeing company, I switch to yearly time series. You will be able to see the data from 2001, which is from the beginning of trade map, right? Once you see here, you are looking at the time series, annual time series. First, the table, you have 5 columns, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but you can extend it to the maximum of 20 right here. So yes, indeed, you'll be able to see historical data. But if you're talking about like 1957, you would have to go to UN Comtrade. But if you're looking for the last 20 years, it will be Trade Map.
That's awesome. And another question from Alice Tyler in this case is how do the trade map data correspond with the Google Market Finder analysis? Do you know if Google platform is built on your statistics? You have any information about this?
Maybe I'm not the right person to talk about this. I really don't have any idea where Google got their trade statistics from, but we do work with Google on other areas. They also conduct a kind of exporter training program that we are involved. So since I can see that there's this synergy, so that means that the data is not in conflict at all. So I would say that the data might be very similar. That's why we are able to work together, but I cannot say exactly like where it will be different and how it will be different. Is it different data sources, etc.? I cannot say that, but I feel that they would go in the same direction just because of the fact that we have collaborated with them. And I would like to draw your attention to the fact that first things first, the quarterly, monthly time series, we collected, right? And then the annual trade statistics, it's provided by the country to the UN Comtrade. Then we take it from the UN Comtrade. Sometimes there's some data cleaning, and also sometimes there are some outliers in the data that that the system was not able to detect. So I think there's some margin, not errors, but there's some marginal differences in different database. If you go to UN Comtrade, it might not correspond 100% to trade map or not. But don't forget that eventually it all comes down to the fact that we work with the national authorities to get you this data, and we don't really exactly come up with the data ourselves. There might be some estimates in terms of the quantity, but in terms of the values, we only stick with the data provided by the national authorities.
Yeah, for sure. And maybe one more question before we start with the second session. It's in the trade map, some HS codes change it for many times. How can we track for our analytics, as trade maps only gives you the information on a specific current HS code.
Right. So the HS code change every 5 years. So for some product, it will be created, deleted, or reallocated, etc. So you can find it here under reference materials. You can click harmonized system correspondences. So for example, I would be able to see here that for my tableware, from the beginning of time, it's been 691200. So this is the easy one, right? But for some other products, so let's say like this, as you can see here, that the HS revision for 2022, they split the code into 2 products. So you are able to see this. However, one thing that you need to know is that the trade indicators, trade maps still use the 2017 revision because there's still some country using the older revision. It's not like January 1st, 2022, every country can comply to this. We have to be mindful of every country that we serve. So trade map, trade indicators is still in 2017, right? But if you need to see the new code, you have to switch to the yearly time series and you will be able to see it. This is the new code. So this code will not appear in trade indicators. It will tell you, please look at it in a yearly time series. So if your product face HS revision, you'll be able to see this. So let's have a look at this. Go back to the table. I click on the number. Click on the number. I think it's still going or not. View trade data. Perfect. You see, it will clearly explain what you're looking at. The code selected has been created and has been reallocated, etc. So you will know that, for example, you will find the data for this product only from 2017, and then from 2022, it will be reallocated to another code, for example. So you can always see, first, you see from the title of the table to see if you're in the right place, if you're in the right product. And then I would suggest that if your product is something that has been reallocated in 2022 revision, created in 2022 revision, or merged, you will need to look at it in time series to be able to see the real data, because trade map again is still in 2017. And when we move to HS revision 2027, trade map, trade indicators will be in 2022. We're always one behind, just because there's so many countries that we have to work with, and we would like to be as inclusive as possible.
So clear, so clear. So thank you, Sam, for being that straightforward and clear. I would like to thank you on behalf of everyone. I can see some hearts coming up from the bottom of the Zoom and some claps and so on. So I see that the audience is also showing its appreciation. So thank you so much. And now we have still one more platform from the ITC to discover, and that will be thanks to Sandra. Sandra will talk a little bit more about the standards map. So Sandra, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Luciano, and hello, everyone. I will just share my screen so you can see the presentation. And voila. There we are. I will just put this one there, okay? Luciano, can you just confirm that you see the presentation mode?
Okay? No, it's not on presentation mode. We can see the current and the next slide. Maybe on display setting at the very top of the window.
Luciano?
Yeah, now you stop sharing your screen. We are not seeing.
Now we're fine, right?
It's loading. Now it's fine. Yeah, perfect.
Perfect. All right. So, hello everyone. I think you had such an exciting session with Sam and all the ITC analysis tool, trade analysis tool. So I will present you one that I think, let me just move this aside. Okay, there. I will present you one that it's actually part of the set of these tools. We launched it back in 2009, standardsmap.org, and it is a global public tool as well. It is accessible to everyone, to any type of users and country. We have put together in this platform database of sustainability initiative that is helping MSMEs to understand what are the sustainability voluntary standards or initiatives that are required by buyers or international markets worldwide. We understand that at that point when we launched the platform, the web tool, one of the issues was transparency about what are these initiatives requesting, the governance of the initiative, and then what were the processes for conformity. So the conformity assessment, how they get verified, how if you can get certified, is there any premium behind? But so it was important for our beneficiaries in ITC MSMEs to understand the landscape of this initiative. So many of you might know the standardsmap.org. Otherwise, please log in after the presentation or when we go to the actual demo. And the most important to know for you is that it is a tool that will allow you to identify standards, will allow you to compare these initiatives, to monitor the trends, and to also look into the companies, certified companies that have complied with certain standards that could be of your interest as suppliers for your business. Okay, so let me just go through. Maybe I just need to go through maybe some basic concepts, because when we talk about sustainability initiative, we can talk either about programs, systems, organizations designing, or implementing tools, or maybe approaches that want to advance, promote, enhance sustainability in a value chain activities. So you could find voluntary sustainability standards, code of conduct, audit protocols in this basket of sustainability initiatives. It could also refer to reporting initiatives, benchmarking systems, the ESG rating programs that you might have heard, the corporate sustainability programs that are developed by the corporate world of companies, buyers, the sustainable public policies, right? International social and environment norms or conventions like ILO conventions, guidance and good practices as the United Nations guiding principles on human rights, for example, due diligence frameworks like the ones that are developed by the OECD. So, and also some social and environmental programs. So all of that, it's like a zoo, right, of initiatives. It's part of the same basket. Today, we're gonna focus on sustainability, voluntary sustainability standards. Okay, the voluntary sustainability standards, or VSS, as the acronym is, or the abbreviation is, are standards specifying requirements that either producers, traders, manufacturers, retailers, or service providers may be asked to meet in order to confirm that they are complying with certain sustainability metrics related to environmental, social, quality, business ethic, right? Or due diligence related practices. Okay. There is one of our reports that you can also look at with UNFSS and take a look about a little bit more to learn more about the sustainability standards. There is a link. Then what is important also is to understand who is behind this type of VSS, voluntary sustainability standards. Yeah, they are designed or marketed by non-governmental organizations, or it could be also designed by private firms, corporate codes. They are adopted by different actors along the supply chain, from farmers to retailers, right? Sometimes these VSS and code of conduct can use certification and labels to signal that there has been successful implementation. It means, like, for example, many of you know, like, the Fairtrade logo, right? Or the FSC logo on your furniture. So those are label-based standards. So once the company comply with them, then they can use it on their products, right? So they are voluntary sustainability requirements, right? But sometimes are de facto requirements, because if you don't have them, you cannot enter the market. For example, if you are a company of food and beverage product, you cannot enter a market you without a global gap, right? Or certain supermarket that is your buyer in the EU or other regions. So it is important to understand, yes, these are voluntary requirements, but sometimes they are just de facto or requested by the markets that we're targeting or we are accessing, right? So it's important to understand how to implement them. Now you can see maybe some of the logos, or you can recognize some of them on the screen. So I wanted to show you this graph also because the sustainability standards have been with us for a long, for some decades already ago. So you can see that there was I would say an explosion of, like, a multiplication of these standards or initiative since around the 1992, and I think it goes together with the Rio Declaration that we have, on environment and sustainable development, where there was a push for joining international cooperations and multi-party, collaborations to push for the environment and the sustainable development at an international stage. So there is where you see, a multiplication of this type of standards or initiatives. Okay, either on organic or on sustainable usage of the land, or social issues like worker rights, community rights, indigenous rights. So now let's talk about the tool. So the standards map users are coming from over 192 countries. We have more than 500,000 users. We have standards that apply to more than 19 industry sectors. We have currently more than 350 standards. And something important is to differentiate our database or tool from other, indices or some tools that also compile information on sustainability initiative, but ours offers information in a very granular way, aspect. Why? Because we compile information of every standard. We have a database with more than 1650 database criteria, meaning that we have only on requirements sustainability common language of more than 600 sustainability requirements, no? That goes from environmental, social, quality, sustainable development, economic development issues that we can capture from the different standards. Of course, not every single standard will apply or will cover all these issues, right? And it's okay. But we also have the other, let's say, set of data points that are capturing the information in terms of the governance with behind the initiative, and then also, as I said, the operational processes. So how is the standard set up? How is maintained? What is the conformity assessment? If there is any support from the standard organization to implement the standards for the companies. So it is quite, a very, I would say, it's a tedious exercise to map all the information, but that's our expertise, right? In the team, making sure that the information that it's displayed in, pages and pages of these standards, it's user friendly for you. Okay, and here you see some screenshot of one of the profiles. We will go and see it in the demo, but it is important to see that, I mean, from the 1,650 database criteria that we might, map, we maybe publish around 700, and then we group this information of these data points in different categories. So the overview of the standard, the requirements, breakdown by sustainability pillars, environment, social, how to comply, and then the governance with behind, and then the resources that you have available to implement this standard. In this case, there is an example of Global Organic Textile Standard GOTS. Okay, but let's continue. So I told you already we have different functionalities or features in the standards map. One of them is the identify filter. So it allows you to identify the different standards based on sector and product, origin and destination markets. So either if you are a farmer that produces cocoa in Colombia or in Peru and Ecuador, or you are also developing, maybe you are in the tourism sector, you are a tour operator, right? And you want to know what standard you can apply, and you will be able to be certified in Colombia or in Costa Rica. So that is important for you to understand if there are available standards for you company, for your sector. Is there available services of certification in your country? Is it recognized in the destination market in the cases of products, right? You can also filter based on the sustainability teams and pillars. That is important because sometimes when you're talking with your buyer or your potential buyer, they say, well, you need to focus on quality. You need to focus on social issues. So it is important to see what are these, from these 355 standards that we have. Well, we need to know which ones have something to say on sustainability, social sustainability, right? Value chain focus, that is important as well. I mean, I am a producer. I don't need to be implementing a standard if that is applying at a retailer or at a manufacturing level, right? SDGs, we also have, you can also select the standards based on the SDGs coverage, the 17 SDGs. So the system will tell you, okay, these are the list of standards that relate or potentially contribute to no poverty, right? SDG 1, or so on. So the other SDGs. Then important for you to know if you are you have your products, like for example, you make chocolates. You need to see if the certification of the standards is certifiable and if there is availability of consumer label. So can I use a label once I get certified so my consumers see that I am compliant with this certification, right? And then recognition by industry platforms. Sometimes there are industry associations, or that might be interested on you implementing certain standards. For example, for the feed industry. There is an European association that has a benchmarking and a standard that, for example, Argentinian soy producers, if they comply with that, an Argentinian standard that is recognized by this industry platform, then they can be fully reliable on being able to access the European market. So these linkages are important for you to know, okay? And we capture that in this database. So here you see some screenshots of the identify module. It's very small, I hope. So identify module, in the left side, in the vertical menu, you have all the different filters I can show you after. And then you have the list of, at the moment, 356 standards of our database. So depending on the filters that you applied, of course, the system will filter up the ones that apply to that filter. And anyways, you can also see a little bit of the breakdown. Let me check this. How can I put it aside? You can see the standard, in this case, fair trade, and then a breakdown. It's a graph that is showing you, you know, how much of the set of requirements are addressing human and labor rights, quality requirements, due diligence related requirements, food safety requirements. Okay, so that is also something that you can see at a glance. You can, from the front page, you can always go to the profile of the standard. You can then select the ones you want to compare and then go to the comparison feature. But I will show you that in more detail with when we do the demo, okay? Here's the standards profile, for example. I told you already, we break down all the information that in this case we collected for Rainforest Alliance onto different categories, right? The overview, so what is this standard? What are the sectors they apply? It applies, the products that are covered, the geographical scope, the purpose. So yes, it's there is a certification scheme as part of this standard. It's a private standard. It's recognized by ISIL. That is let's say the umbrella institution for all these private standards. They set the guidelines for the development of these private standards. Okay, then you can see the requirements, the how to comply, governance, and resources. Yeah. Then if you go to compare, that's another feature. You can, based on different parameters, so select different standards. Yeah. You can select on a go up to 4. Yeah. And you can compare depending on what you want to compare, you can select requirements. You can select, for example, the governance, the operational requirements. You can decide if you want to see this comparison just in a simple way, like graph, like you see here, you know, and you can see, for example, based on the sustainability pillars, what is the focus on of each standard. You can see that fair trade, for example, it has a lot, I mean, almost 50% focus on social, environmental issues. Rainforest Alliance almost there as well. The SAI platform, that is a sustainability agriculture initiative, that's an industry association. They have a farm sustainability assessment that they require their suppliers to comply with. And for example, in this case, you can see it's a mix of things. I mean, mainly they focus on environment and social issues, but there is also quality, there is also management and ethics, right? So all of them have a little bit of, have something on the different pillars, but you can see a clearly, you know, focus of the different standards in this case. And then this is a industry, I would say, industry-led initiative, the SAI. Okay. Then we will play a little bit with these filters or parameters that we can change, okay? So you can see the comparison based on the graph, but you can also see the comparison based on in a granular level. So looking at the different criteria. So you see here, you have still the 3 standards, right? We are still comparing requirements and based on pillars. But then what you have to switch to the table option. So thanks to this menu, there is you can open and collapse sections that are available here on the left side. Okay, and you can review the different indicators or requirements. So for soil, a general principle, what is the Rainforest Alliance standard telling you to comply with? In which time frame? Is it critically, it's critical to comply with? It's explicitly mentioned this requirement or issue in the requirement. So, and you see, the excerpt. So exactly what the requirement from the Rainforest Alliance is telling you to comply with. The same thing with fair trade and the same thing with FSA in this case. Okay, and I mean, this is just a part of the table. You can see all the 50 criteria or the 100 criteria or 70 criteria that each of the standards have. Okay, or the initiative. So then there is a module or a feature self-assess. The self-assess allows you to see where are you in terms of your sustainable practices. Okay, there are 3 different, let's say, sections. So sustainability checklists, they will help you to understand where are you regarding certain sustainability specific areas like labor rights or gender, for example. So you can always click on them, and you will be redirected to an online questionnaire where we have basic questions regarding to labor rights related practices. Okay, you can go through it. I will show you in the demo. And then you will have a report telling you what are you complying with. And then you can download that report and show it in your, discuss it internally with your team and see if there is anything that you need to improve. That is very like a simple sustainability checklist. Okay. And then, as I said, for now we have them in labor rights and in gender. Yeah. Now, then we have the in-depth assessments. Those are assessments that we have developed with certain partners. For example, we have the biotrade assessment that is based on the biotrade principles and criteria that we developed with the United Nations Trade and Development, the UNTAC agency. Okay, so you can always, it's a tool, a specific tool that you can always use to assess your company against these biotrade principles and criteria. Yeah, there will be others that will be added because we have worked with many different partners. It's just that for now you have the biotrade assessment. Then we have the SME Sustainability Toolkit, and this is a tool that allows you to assess your sustainable practices in the textiles, if you are in the textile sector. And also we just launched one for Ecuador on the agribusiness sector. So you can go there. You have to create your account. I will show you how for the standards map tool. And you can select this SME Sustainability Toolkit. And then you go through a quick scan, that is a diagnostic that will help you to understand if you're ready to start your, implementing a sustainability initiative. Then you can complete a company profile. Then you will be redirected to an online questionnaire that is measuring your sustainable practices at a very, I would say, basic level for textile and for agribusiness. Okay, and then the system will help you to identify the gaps, and AI assisted assistant will help you to generate an action plan. Okay, so let me go through that when we do the demo. And these kind of tools like SME sustainability toolkits, we are also working on the adaptation for ICT sector and for tourism sector. Yeah, because it is a tool that we will use, to help companies to have finalized these assessments with an action plan. AI assisted, but then it's the basis to run coaching programs, personalized coaching programs, so companies can really implement, have the action plan for implementing these sustainability requirements. Okay, let me just go. Monitor trends. So in the trends feature, you have all the data that we have put together as part of the State of Sustainable Markets report. We started with this report back in 2015. And it's a joint effort with IISD, with FIBL, and then we have market trends of certified commodities and 11 VSS, and market trends of certified forests and 2 VSS. So it's really working with these sustainability standards, getting this data in a more user-friendly format, so you can always identify these different trends. I will show you, and you can always download this information in an Excel format. Okay. And then we also have the certified business registry. That's also a collaboration that we have with different standard setter organizations, for example, Bonsucro, that shares the information of the certified businesses that they have in their database. So if some buyer wants to, look up for a Bonsucro certified business, they can always go to our registry in a standards map. There are others, we'll see. This is just an example, okay? And before I go to the demo, I think it is important to understand that this database, or this common language of sustainability, it has it's a good basis to leverage this information and the technical expertise that we have to help on process of harmonization and transparency when we face this, the development of these different standards. We're a neutral agency, of course. Our role is neutral. It's really to bring transparency to the information of these standards. So we are in a good position to help the different partners, different industry associations to benchmark different methodologies, even the different requirements and the covering that they have. Be it in requirement scope or operational requirements. So they alleviate the burden for companies in terms of multiple audits, or asking the same requirements in different standards or initiatives. So that's something that we work with different partners that you can see here on the screen, helping on equivalence assessment of sustainability standards and policy goals, so also working with governments to understand these different standards, working with bigger initiatives that can recognize certain standards instead of rebuilding, reconstructing the wheel, like we said. Okay, and of course we also work on clarifying what are the linkages between sustainability standards and or initiatives and different policies, public policies that have come up. I mean, we know that ESG, for example, regulations have proliferated in different international markets, and the subjects that they are asking the companies to comply with for accessing their markets are not new, right? So I think we can build up on the capacity that some companies using this standard or sustainability initiative have built, and then take them for, taken closer to understand what these new policies are requesting from them. So we are also working on that. And so let me just go to the platform. Okay. There we are. So if you go to standardsmap.org, okay, this is the front page. You can see the different features that I already mentioned and with different partners. Then we go to Explore Standards Map. There you can recognize the screenshots that we had before, right? So you have a horizontal menu where you have all the features: identify, compare, self-assess, trends, registry. You have tutorials, you have guided tour if you need to use them. You have the list of filters available to you to narrow your search, because we're talking about 356 standards here. You can always browse, different standards, going to a little bit of the coverage that they have based on this graph and the legend here. You can go directly to their profile, or as I said, if you know already which ones you want, you can always call them by their name. And then if you want to compare, select with this compare icon. Okay? Important for you, you can use the whole tool without logging in. Yeah, that's important. But if you want that your reports, when you use the self-assess, okay, when I click here, I go, here, the self-assessment, different features, if your reports get saved, right, under your account, you need to log in, okay? If you have already an ITC account, so you already access with an account the tray map, the MAC map, the export potential map, you can log in with that account, okay? So you can always go there and log in. All right? So let me just go here, go back to identify. So as I said, we have a list of different filters. I don't have much time, but give me 5 more minutes. I know it has been a long, but I think interesting, session for you. So give me 5 more minutes, okay? So the list of filters that you have here, as I said to you, you can search for different themes. For example, now a very hot topic on sustainability is human and labor rights, right? So I want to know, out of these 356, how many are actually having a say on human and labor rights. So it says 80 out of these 356 have something to say, some requirements on the topic of human and labor rights. Okay, so I can fine-tune this search, because of course there is a melange, there is a mix of different sector or product or geographical scope. So I can maybe go and select by sector. Say, okay, which ones are on, let's say, tourism, right? 15. So 15 out of the 356 that touch upon human and labor right, or address these issues, and that apply to the tourism sector, okay? Then I can say, well, I am a company based on, okay, let's say Americas. 12 will apply. And I will not go to value chain here, but maybe I want even a more narrow filter and say, okay, which ones have something specific on the SDG 8. Okay, still a 12. And maybe I can say, okay, I want to be verified against them. So 3. Okay? Or certified. In this case, you can be certified, BRGS, fair labor, one as well. So you see, and then from 356, standards, you came down to 3, right? So you can always take a look, a first glance, let's say, to what they are focusing in, or you can just check the profiles. You can always click on the profile button on the side, and then you can go through them. For example, let's see here, it's in Spanish. Let me just go in English. There you are. Fair Labor Association, Principle of Responsible Sourcing and Production, and it tells you who they are, which sectors they covered. You can always see the full list, the products that include tourism, the geographical scope for origin. It means that you can be certified against this standard in these countries, and for destination, meaning that this standard is recognized in these countries. Okay? Then in which value chain applies, what is the value chain focus, the production, manufacturing, distribution, some highlights. Then here it shows you this standard potentially contribute to all these SDGs. You can download even the bootleg of the standard, like main information on the standard. It's taking some time. You have it here. See? Okay. But if we go back to the online profile, you can see the requirements. So you see, mainly this standard is focusing on social issues, right? I mean, the name says it all, right? So 84% of the requirements are focused on social issues. Here I can see, I can decide if I want to see this graph, this breakdown on sustainability pillars, or if I want to do it by teams, like we have it at the front page, right? And here I see, like human rights, for example, 32% of the criteria focuses on or relate to human and labor rights. 37 on due diligence, credibility 21%, sustainable business, gender, and something on environment and climate change, right? So depending on what you're focusing, then this could be, I mean, if you were interested on human rights, this is a good standard to go if you're in the tourism sector, right? I'm not recommending any standard, right? It depends on your context and specific characteristics of your business, okay? But at the first, revision, you can find certain things that resonate with what you're looking for, right? And that's the tool, that's the capacity tool the standards map is working for. So you see here below in the requirements, you see the graph, and then you can always go to the table. In the table, so the details, you will have the different teams in this case, and you can always, on the left, and you can always click on the icon there, plus icon, and you will see that there is a breakdown of different subsections by team. So human and labor rights, it has a section on ILO conventions, on forced labor, child labor, discrimination, and each subsection opens up and then gives you the list of criteria or requirements. So on ILO core labor standards. So what is it that the standard is asking you to comply with? The reference document, the web link, okay? Then you can go to how to comply, and there is a short summary that is telling you minimum level of conformity assessment of the standard is third party, meaning that you cannot just do an assessment and send it somewhere. You need to engage with the standard organization, with a certifier agencies, and have a third party verification. Okay, that can be done every 1 year or less. Cost of this verification, audit, are available on request. Then what is being checked? There will be a verification at the factory, production unit, through field visit, right? Including office visit, document revisions or review. And then if you want to look into the details, you can see verification system, compliance assessment, audit process, and auditing entity. You can always display that, click on the plus icon, okay? So it will explain you what is this third-party verification, yeah? Which facilities you can knock at, the door at. Then the costs available on request, compliance assessment, the frequency of the audit, what happens if there is any major violation, non-conformity, if there is group certification, if there is group sample, audit process, how does it work? Okay, so all this information, it is really captured at every single standard profile. I don't want to go through every single data point here, but it's important for you to to understand that there is a summary and there is always the details down there. Governance as well, you have an overview. So the standards owner shows independence from its certificate holders or members. Supply chain actors, NGOs, civil society do not participate in the standards decision. There is a private consultation to review the standard. There is an annual report. Documents and policies are available. And you can always see here the details on the standards management, transparency, credibility, and the standard setting process. Okay? And then the resources. That's important for you. So if there is any guidelines, compliance benchmarks that you need to access or you can access, then you find them here. The support as well, what type of support they are able to provide. There's a website. There is also a training online resource. They are saying that the technical assistance go beyond initial compliance, not financial assistance in this case, but some of the standards they might have. Okay, so that was just one example. And then if we want to compare, let's say I select, you may click, just to click here on compare. So I click on the three of them, and it tells me that this standard has been added to your comparison table. I can say okay later or take me there now. And it will take me to the to the dashboard where I can see all the selected standards for comparison. Okay, I can also go just to compare and then select the standards that I want to compare. Okay, and then it shows you, it's important to review the parameters that you have here on the horizontal menu, right? So you can add also standards as I mentioned before, but for now we'll list just these three. You are comparing requirements. You can always compare also how to comply or the governance. Okay, let's stay in requirements, and you can show pillars or teams. Pillars means environment, social management, ethics, quality. Teams means the more detailed breakdown. Human and labor rights, due diligence, environment and climate, and so on. No? So here, as mentioned in the other example that I had in the PPT, I think you can just look at the coverage, as a whole. So in terms of the requirements. So at a simple, look, you can just see that human rights are important for the three requirements, for the three standards. They have a good coverage of at least 30%, of the requirements address human rights and labor rights, right? Then due diligence, 37. Then credibility, 21, 25, 24. And then if you want to look at the table at advanced mode, you just switch there, click on there, and then you have the three standards, and then you can just navigate thanks to this section on the left that it allows you to click or unclick the different sections, subsections, and look at the very granular level, so the requirements that they have, right? For example, let's say forced labor. All of them have something to say. Criteria on voluntary employment, no forced labor, for example. Fair Labor, Social Accountability International, BRCGS, something to say. Okay? And then the self-assess, maybe quickly, if you want to, as I said, it's just more to assess your awareness, right, on the labor rights. If you're starting on this sustainability journey, I would say, and I would say labor rights are very important now if you want to enter different markets that are going to be checked by your buyers. The practices that you have regarding these issues. So the minimum you can do is to have a simple checklist, and that will help you. This one will help you. Okay, so just go there. Next, they will tell you what it is, what is not forced labor, and then what is modern slavery, and then you can go through the different questions, and then you select the answer that applies to your reality. Okay. Abusive monetary retention, you say, okay, make debts, monetary deposit as condition for employment. So you just go in a very, conscious way, not like this, just clicking around. But what I want to show you, maybe it's that you can see your report. And that is something that you can reflect on with your team internally. Okay, so you have this report, Sustainable Labor Compliance Checker, and it tells you where you are at. Okay, and then you can print, you can save to your account. Yeah, I told you that if you don't have an account, if I didn't log in, I cannot save it. Okay, otherwise I print it. Yeah. Then if I go back again to self-assess, I go to in-depth assessment. As I told you, there is this biotrade assessment. You can go to check what the tool is about, or you can start an assessment. It's similar to, it's an online questionnaire. So you can, answer the information here, and then it will take you through a list of questions that will reflect the biotrade principles of UNTAG. Okay, and then you can also download that report. Then this is the SME Sustainability Toolkit. Maybe, what time is it? Luciano, you want me to stop? I know I am way beyond the time.
I don't know how much would it take, because we are 20 minutes past the time, mostly for the audience, that probably they have another thing blocked, but if it's something quick, we can just finish with this.
I will show you quickly. Then, yeah, give me 2 minutes. I want to show this because I think it's important that they see the type of tool that we have developed, and we are, as I said, customizing for the different sectors. Because we don't just want to provide information, as I said, in a neutral, transparent way. We also develop these customized tools that help on the capacity building side of the MSMEs, to help them understand that, to do an assessment. Okay, let me just take this out. So now I am in the tool, and let me just check why it's no, it's not. I don't know why it's not working for me now. Let me check here. It's not working. I don't know if my colleagues are doing an update there. Okay, let's just go then to the trends. Okay. This is important for you guys. As I said, this information is available thanks to the report that we have put together, the State of Sustainable Markets. You can see market trends on certified commodities and different VSS that collaborate with us on providing this information, and also the forestry 2 standards that are in our database. two of them. So you can click in the picture, and then you can look. I mean, even if you don't go to the filters, you can see here a generic view of, for example, share of certified area by sustainability standard for the selected agricultural products in 2022. So all of these standards, if you can recognize them, 4C, Better Cotton, Bon Sucro, Fair Trade, Global Gap, ProTerra, Rainforest, RSPO, RTRS, have provided this data. So you can see the percentage here, where they are located, like in the main, mainly the different regions. Then the growing of this of the certification, the certified areas of these commodities by commodity and across the different standards. And then you have the table as well. So all this information you can download. If you want it by country, that's also possible. You select your country, let's say Ecuador, or let's say Costa Rica. So then you will see, right, which are the standards from those 12, right, that companies are using the most there. If you want market trends on a specific commodities, so you have for these 5 commodities in this case, right? And then the range of certified area, how did evolve during these years. So it is a very, very, I think, a very important section that will help you to, read some trends, something that we didn't have before. And it is important for you to understand how your competitors are doing, what are they implementing, and where they are selling. So, and you can export this data on Excel. Okay. And then, as I told you, the registry, maybe I just show you that there are different standards that have shared this information with us on the list of certified business that they have. And we keep adding and adding. And as I said, that's also a good database for you, because you can, the company that you see here as certified by Bon Sucro, it means that, yes, it has a certificate that is valuable at this time, right? And on the other standards as well. So maybe I will stop here. I overdid it with the time, and I really apologize.
Don't worry. It was really enriching for all of us. That's why we still have after, I think it was like 2 hours and a half almost, we have a lot of people still connected, because it's been really, really interesting, everything that we learned today. And as I said at the very beginning, all these tools were tools that were very much awaited throughout this week. So thank you so much, Sandra, also for your clarity. I can see again also this rain of hearts and claps. And
thank you. Nice starting until the weekend.
Yeah, exactly. So in the interest of time, I will just wrap up the session here. So I would like to extend my thanks to Amanda, Sandra, and Sam also for the excellent, great presentation that you lead today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Luciano, and thank you everyone for joining. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Sandra, Amanda. Okay, and now SMExport Week is finally coming to an end. But we have some exciting news for you. A lot of people is asking about how to get the certificate of participation. We will talk about that now. But first, we have another exclusive launch. We have a lot of things for exclusive launches for the participant this week. And we have one more. Because now you get all the knowledge on how to expand to new markets, how to address the needs of your businesses, to internationalize your business. And we have a special opportunity for all the global companies that have joined us this week, learn from top experts, and are now looking to expand overseas, finding new suppliers, new clients, new partners worldwide. This is especially for you. We are giving you exclusive early access to the Bid for the Americas Training Networking, the Argentina edition. What is this? This is a completely free virtual business matchmaking event that is designed to connect international companies with key players in Latin America and the Caribbean. So if you think that you use the export potential map and you see that maybe Argentina has a great potential for your products, maybe you have to join us in this event, because we will have expert-led training sessions on Argentina. We will have top companies and senior government officials from Argentina sharing some key insight on business opportunities, investment, and regulatory aspects. But also there will be 2 full days of virtual matchmaking, where you will be able to see the complete list of participants and get tailored recommendations by our system on the best potential partners for your specific business. And then there in the same platform, you will be able to schedule some one-on-one meetings and start building valuable connections, start expanding your businesses to Argentina or find a partner there. This is when? From May 6th to May 9th. It's 100% online. It's 100% for free for all of you. So you are the very first one to get to know about this matchmaking event that will take place in around 1 month from now. So this is your chance to take everything that you learned throughout this week and turn it into real business opportunities. We will be sharing some more details soon because we haven't launched it yet. We will launch it next week. And even if you are an Argentinian company and you join this training webinar, you cannot miss this opportunity to connect with global enterprises. So to stay tuned, because as I said, we will launch it next week. You can just connect with me on LinkedIn because I will be posting it next week. And also you can follow, if you are not doing that yet, you can follow Connect Americas on our social media accounts. We have Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and X or Twitter. So you can also follow us. You can just search for us as under the name of Connect Americas on all our social media accounts. And now, up next, I will explain how to obtain the certificate of participation. Once you receive it, we encourage you to share it on your social media accounts, because many past participants have found these certificates to be highly valuable in building stronger partnerships and showcasing their expertise to potential business partners. And this is a great way to highlight the knowledge and skill that you gain throughout the SMExport week. So now I will show you how to get this certificate. So everyone that attend at least 80% of this week's sessions are eligible to request the certificate of participation. You can still watch the missing recording if you miss any of the sessions of this week by entering the link that it's there on the screen. And I will also put this link on the chat right now. And there, in that exact same link, you will find the certificate of participation. So you go there, you will see all the recordings, all the sessions that we had during this week. And at the very bottom of this web page, you have to log in using your Connect Americas credentials. And when you will log in, at the very bottom, you will see a button that allows you to request your certificate of participation. And again, don't forget to share it with all your network. Again, if you miss any of our sessions, you can have there and watch all the recordings. As we close this incredible SMExport week, I want to take a moment to thank you, each of you, for being part of this incredible journey. Over the past week, we have explored key topics in global trade, connected with experts, and we equip all of us, even me, we equip ourselves with valuable tools to expand our businesses internationally. Your engagement, your curiosity, and your commitment to grow on what makes initiatives like this truly impactful. So this is just the beginning. Take what you have learned, apply it, and continue building bridges to new opportunities. We look forward, really looking forward to seeing you thriving global markets, and hopefully in our next activities in the Bid for the Americas training series, the Argentina edition, and in all the other activities that are coming next. So stay tuned. Thank you for being part of the SMExport week, and hope to see you soon. Thank you.